Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 10 of Inbound Noun. Today I have a very special guest with us, Mr. Lewis Howes. Lewis is the author of two books, Linked Working and LinkedIn Master Strategies. He's the founder of SportsNetworker.com. He's a professional speaker covering a variety of social media topics, but mostly focusing on how individuals and businesses can leverage LinkedIn to kind of grow their businesses and personal brands and what have you. So welcome to the show, Lewis.
Thanks, David. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's a nice snowy day here in Boston, so.
Nice.
But yeah, so I wanted to get you on the show here to talk about, some people that are relatively new to LinkedIn, kind of talking about where they should start, getting into LinkedIn, some common mistakes that, people make that they should avoid. And then there's some fan submitted questions that I'm going to shoot at you, kind of a rapid fire thing, and then we'll talk about how you have personally leveraged building up LinkedIn groups and kind of some best practices around that. Sound good?
Okay. Sounds perfect.
All right, cool. So you start out your book Linked Working with the statement, a lot of people say this to you: LinkedIn doesn't work. What's your response to this?
I tell people that it only works as much as you put into making it work. So a lot of people tell me if this is something that you might have done for a while, David. That a lot of people set up their profile, they get an invite to LinkedIn, they set up their profile, and then they just let it sit for months. And they say it doesn't work because they're not getting any leads or business, so they're not finding a job. But really it's because they're not putting the energy into connecting with people and advancing their profile and joining groups, creating your own group, creating a conversation with people in groups. So really the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Right. Yeah. And I am one of those people guilty of, I'm an early adopter of most like social networks, right? So I signed up, filled out my profile to 100%, and then just kind of sat there. And I really was missing the value in LinkedIn. And your book kind of opened my eyes to a couple things that I was missing out on. But what are some of the biggest mistakes you see people making on LinkedIn?
Some of the basics would be people don't fill out their profile 100%, and it just looks poor. When you Google your name, your LinkedIn profile is usually one of the top 5 things that shows up on Google. Sometimes it's top 3, top 1. You never know how many articles you have out there and who's been writing about you, but for most people, it's top 5. If anyone's ever trying to buy a product from you or hire you as a consultant or hire you for whatever, a job, then they're going to do research on you, and your LinkedIn profile is going to show up eventually. If it's not filled out 100%, if there aren't recommendations of people vouching for you, showing some social proof or credibility about what you've done before, if you don't have a picture, if you just don't have anything, if you have misspellings, things like that, then it's just going to look pretty poor. So you want to make sure you have it filled out 100%. It's really basic, and a lot of people should already know this, but I see people missing that point a lot. So the first thing is to fill it out 100%.
True. So would you say that it's kind of an extension of your your 2-page resume, or is it something completely different?
It's like your resume on steroids, really. And I think the resume is kind of out of style, but I have no idea. I don't even have a resume. I'm not in the market to find a job, so I have some friends who've just used their LinkedIn profile to find a job without having a resume. They've made it look nice enough that people will hire it off that alone. But it's extremely powerful. Obviously now they've got over 100 million members. They more than doubled from membership from last year. They're about to go public soon. It's obviously not as big as Facebook, but they're a player to be reckoned with. One of the top 25 sites in the world. So it's extremely powerful, and people go on LinkedIn to, there's a different mindset when people go on LinkedIn than when they go on another social networking site. When they go on Facebook, it's more like, let's hang out with our friends, let's check out pictures and images, obviously, videos. Some people go there for business, but some people just go there to hang out. But when you go on LinkedIn, the mindset switches, and it's primarily focused on who can I find to help me do something in business. How can I find more leads, more customers, more sales? How can I advertise my business? How can I drive more traffic to my website, my sales pages, things like that? There's only one main focus, and it's building a business or something around professional career. So it's a little different.
Right. So taking that and like kind of turning it, how are companies like, because now you can have a company profile page. What, how can people best like leverage that company page?
At the moment, LinkedIn is doing a lot of things to make the platform better. And I see my video going in and out, so hopefully it's not a big deal. But LinkedIn is doing a lot of things to make their platform better, to make the site better, and to enhance it for business professionals and businesses. At the moment, the company page is a lot better than what it used to be a few months ago. And they're adding more resources, tools. Now you can have recommendations about your products, your services. You can add videos to your company page. You can add links to your site back to it so people can review. You can add all sorts of things that help enhance your company and your company image or brand. I think they're going to continue to do a lot more in the near future to make it better. So as of now, just fill out a company page. You don't want to have your own company profile per se. You want to create a personal profile and then have a company page attached to that profile. But there's ways to add videos and articles and all sorts of things to drive people back to that company page, which I think it'll be as powerful, if not more powerful, than the Facebook fan page, probably in the next 6 to 12 months with some of the things I think they're doing. So.
Okay, yeah. So it's kind of in its infancy right now, but moving on into the future, it will be more like that fan page where there's more interaction and what have you. So, okay, cool.
Right now, because you can follow other company pages and things like that. So it's kind of like a like, but it's a little different. So.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, I saw that. I was wondering, like, okay, so now you can follow companies on LinkedIn, but I wasn't really sure where the value was in it. But, okay, interesting. Cool. So a fan question here. Michael Rea asks, where do we start, and is there any quick wins to prove the value of LinkedIn?
Where do we start with LinkedIn?
I mean, so yeah, you kind of already talked about that, but are there some quick wins that you can kind of do like right off the bat to prove value? Because a lot of these companies, they have to prove the ROI as it were.
Well, here's the thing: everyone's got to ask themselves the same question, and it is, what are my goals, or what are my professional career goals, or my business goals? Because you can't just go on LinkedIn and say, do this, do that, do this, because you got to know exactly what it is you want. So if people want to get more leads, traffic, or sales, then they're going to approach it a different way than someone that's looking for a job. But for a lot of people, they want to learn how to build their business, from most of the people that I talk to. If that's the case, then joining groups of people who are your customers. So if you are, let's say, a realtor, a real estate investor, and you want to reach out to all these other real estate agents or potential buyers, then you want to join all the real estate groups, real estate investor groups, things like that, and maybe entrepreneur groups in a local market. So you can find people who have the money, who want to invest in your properties. You can find other realtors and do more deals, things like that. You want to join these groups in your industry or in your niche, but you also want to create your own group. And those who are the owners of the groups or create their own group are allowed to send a message once a week to all the members of the group. It's basically like a free email marketing provider, and it's got 100% deliverability. So it's very powerful, and it allows you to basically build an email list for free. One of the groups that I have, for example, is over 35,000 members of sports executives. So it allows me to kind of be that authority figure, send out updates weekly to the members, but it's also a free email marketing provider, basically.
Right. So yeah, that was actually one of my questions. Talking about groups, is it better to join an existing group if one already exists in your industry or niche, or is it better to create your own?
You want to join all the different groups that are in your niche or in your industry, and then create your own. If there's one that's already kind of like a dominating group that already has tens of thousands of members, then what I would do is create a group similar to that, but in a regional market. So in a state or in a city or a town or whatever, but just add a city or a state name at the end of the title and build that up. Become the expert or the go-to resource in your area, because there's a lot of business in a local market as well. So that's what I would do.
Right. And you mentioned on your blog, the 10 reasons to start a LinkedIn group. It helps build thought leadership and drive traffic and build your personal brand. And and again, that email, you can reach into them via that 1 week email. So
exactly. It's very powerful. I mean, for me, LinkedIn groups, it's probably one of the biggest assets I have online. I've got about 10 different groups that I've created in local markets, different niches, things like that. And I mean, it's probably 70,000 emails total that I can send messages to absolutely for free, from the most targeted business professionals in the world. LinkedIn's got an average household income of $109,000 per member, and 45% of its users are actual business decision makers. Now, that's higher than Forbes.com, Entrepreneur.com, Twitter, Facebook members, everything else. You're dealing with people who make decisions and have money to buy things, and they're focusing on business when they're on the site. So it's a great asset where you can get in front of people that are focusing on that type of situation.
Definitely, definitely. So if you have 10 groups, how do you kind of manage that? And do you have a specific content strategy for each group?
Yes, I used to throw LinkedIn networking events, live LinkedIn networking events around the country. So I'd create these groups to build kind of an audience in these local markets. That way I could promote these events to and kind of build my business that way around the country. But now I pretty much just send a weekly message. I try to send weekly messages to them all, to free resources, free articles, free webinars, guides, downloads, ebooks, just different content that's going to help the members for that niche kind of build their business or achieve their goals as well. So for me, I'm just trying to become a better resource, promote the members, and give them content that I think they'll like and appreciate to help them. So that's kind of my goal.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that I noticed when I first tried out LinkedIn, I joined a lot of groups, right? But I noticed that there was a lot of spam and just kind of like self-promotion and what have you. So what do you do to kind of police that or make sure that the quality's there in these groups?
It's tough when you have, especially when you have like thousands of members and there's some spam coming in every day. I like to accept everyone, so they automatically are accepted in my group no matter what. You can make it so you have to accept one by one each person that wants to join the group. However, that takes more time to manage. For me, I like to automate things. So anytime someone joins the group, I've got one group that probably gets about 100 plus members a day joining. Every time they join the group, they get an automated welcome message that I create in the back end that send them to basically my site, my newsletter opt-in, my social networks, and I try to get them in my funnel that way. If they start spamming the group, other members flag a lot of the content or the updates, so they're kind of self-policing the group, which is really nice. Then I kind of go in there once a week and delete the spam messages and delete the members that are not really providing value. But you can kind of bring on an assistant to be a group manager, things like that if you want to. But I like to automate things, and I'll just correct it later just because it saves time.
Gotcha. So in the book, you kind of in one of the chapters you talk about how you use LinkedIn on a daily basis, and you defined your goal first, right? And then so how exactly do you on a daily basis? Because a lot of people will join LinkedIn and then join a couple groups and then just kind of forget about it, like we talked about earlier. But like, how do you build it into your daily workflow to kind of maximize productivity?
Sure. I mean, for me, a lot of what I do is I'm wanting to build an email list, generate more leads, drive more traffic, and get more sales or more publicity or speaking gigs, things like that. But the main thing is more leads, traffic, and sales from my business. This is mostly an online business. So what I try to do is kind of create top-of-mind awareness at all the time. So I want people to, every time someone connects with me, I add everyone. I've got over 10,000 connections, which isn't that many compared to some, but for some it's a lot. And so I want all those members to see my name every single day. The best way to do that is to sync my Twitter account and just automatically post updates from content, articles from my blog, other resources, and just have it feeding through there so it's on the homepage of everyone I'm connected to. They see my name, they associate LinkedIn tips, LinkedIn training, other things, and my name. So whenever anyone has a question or they want to get more training, they can go to my site, buy my book, buy my training courses, things like that, and just creates more top-of-mind awareness for me. That's an easy way to do that. Another way to get kind of top-of-mind awareness automated is to add an RSS feed to the groups that you create. So every time I post a new article, it automatically gets fed to all the members of my 30,000 plus member groups, my 10,000 member groups. So it's driving traffic back to my site, putting them through my funnel on my site as well. And connecting with people. Just every time you accept someone as a friend, you show up on the home profile of everyone they're connected to and everyone you're connected to that you've connected. So just kind of being active a little bit. You can also create discussion in groups, things like that to stay active. But try to automate as much as possible.
Right, right. Okay. So yeah, well, some of the things you mentioned in your book, you try to invite 5 important or influential, interesting people into your network each week. That's pretty actionable, right? That's something that you could do on a weekly basis. Recommend 1 person per week, kind of, give to get kind of, sort of thing. So yeah, interesting. So, so another fan question. Yeah.
I like you've read my book. This is good.
No, I read all the books of my guests, and actually, so I just interviewed Phil Simon, and he said after the interview, "Thanks, you definitely read my book, man."
I know, it's awesome.
It's that's actually one of my goals for the show. Read the book. I learn that way, and I get to talk with smart people. So So another fan question for you from Karen Baglin. She asks, how does LinkedIn fit into a company's overall social media strategy? Because a lot of brands are using Facebook and Twitter, but how and at what level have you seen companies incorporating LinkedIn into their strategy?
It really all depends on the goal of the company, but just a couple quick examples. One of my friends, he's got a small business, and he's using LinkedIn. He's been using Facebook ads for a while. LinkedIn ads just came out of beta recently, and before they had some limitations for what you could use with the LinkedIn ads, but now they're expanding the options, which allows you to target more people a lot easier. He said that he's seeing double the conversion. It costs a little more for advertising on LinkedIn, but he's seeing double the conversion for buyers for his products and services. So he's saying that LinkedIn ads is way better than Facebook at the moment, and it makes sense because of the user base and the mindset. But another way that, kind of another case study is a friend of mine who's a web designer, a graphic designer. He's got a small web design company, got a couple of employees. He's got a lot that he's currently working on all the time. So doesn't have a lot of time to do marketing all over the web or any other type of direct marketing. He just doesn't have a lot of time because he's working with his clients. However, he wants more clients. And what he does is answer questions 3 times a week for about 15 minutes a day. So about 45 to 60 minutes a week. He goes in and answers email marketing, web design questions, how to build website questions. There's different categories in the answers section. And the more that he answers, he gets a lot of people follow up with him. He also replies privately to them, just basically tries to be a resource for them. And he tries to get them on the phone and offer them a 15-minute free consultation. But when you think about it for a second, when other professionals or businesses are asking questions on LinkedIn, they have a specific pain point at that moment. How do I build a website? How do I do this? How do I do that? How's my IT's down? This and that, right? They have a specific pain point that needs to be solved right now. And if you can offer them the best resource, the best answer, the best information, and be extremely helpful to them without trying to sell them, but just being helpful, that's the most targeted buyer, or anyone who's going to hire you at any time is when they're asking a pain question. So there's just a couple examples right there.
Right, absolutely. I mean, answering those questions, and it's just gonna build your credibility as well. As long as you're answering them, without the sales pitch, in the message. So
what my friend does is he just kind of he tries to give the best answer overall. He doesn't try to sell anything, and he'll give some resources, links for free. But he also he does that publicly so everyone can see his answer, and that hopefully he'll get rated best answer and move him up the ranking in his category. But also, he clicks the reply privately button on that question section also, and just sends them a message saying, hey, if you want some help, here's my number, give me a call. I'm happy to do 10, 15-minute consulting and just see if I can help out in any way. I won't sell you anything. So it's just like a little follow-up, get them on the phone when they're really painful. If you're the most helpful person for them, why wouldn't they work with you? So.
Right, exactly. And that's just like one of the cardinal rules of social media. Be listening to what people are saying, whether it's on LinkedIn or Twitter. People are asking these questions that you know the answer to, whatever industry you're in, whatever business you're in. And if you're there being helpful, I mean, you're just going to stay top of mind, and you're more likely to grab that sale than the person that they don't know. So,
exactly.
Cool. So on your blog, you mentioned, how to like kind of optimize your profile and what have you, and you talk about adding some advanced applications to your profile. What would be some of your favorite applications to add?
There's 3 main applications that I love. One is if you're an author, you want to add the Amazon application. This allows you to put an image of your book on your profile, so it allows you to get more sales and kind of more credibility. So the Amazon application. If you're an event planner, you're going to want to use the event application. It allows you to kind of promote your events, and I think LinkedIn's the best place to use to promote any event, virtual or in-person event. The events section goes very viral. When people register, it sends basically a message. It doesn't send them a message, but it shows up on the home profile of all their contacts, and it really spreads viral if you can get a couple hundred to RSVP right away. Another one that it's a must for businesses, if you have your own blog, if you have a business blog, then you need to add the WordPress app, which allows you to kind of feed your RSS feed from your most recent articles from your site. So people come to your profile, they see the articles, they can click, drive traffic back to your site and get to know you more. Also, my last one and favorite one would be the SlideShare app, which all these apps are free to download, by the way, but the SlideShare app allows you to add a video to your LinkedIn profile. So imagine, when you think about LinkedIn, David, and you go to people's profiles, what's kind of the first thing that comes to mind when you go to probably 99% of profiles? How do they look to you?
They look kind of spammy and like, oh, I did this and I'm really good and awesome at my job, right? And
they look really like a really weird resume with all these bullet points and like I did this in sales. So it's either like a resume or it's just really boring. In my mind, they're all really boring, a lot of them, except for the students that go through my training, of course. But the best way, I think, to break that mold or break that boring kind of look and feel is having a video. Imagine, David, what it would be like if you went to a profile, you were searching for someone to help you with something. You find them, you go to their profile, and then within 3 seconds, their voice just pops up, and they're like, thanks so much for checking out my LinkedIn profile. Go ahead and scroll down the page. I've got a video right here I want to share with you for a second. Just want to tell you a little bit about who I am, who I help, and how I can help you specifically right now. And for the next 60 seconds, this is what you're going to learn. And then you just kind of go on your spiel about your company, how you've helped people. Maybe you add a testimonial from one of your clients in there. But what would that be like if you go to all these boring or spammy looking profiles, then all of a sudden there's a video that pops up, and it's kind of a personal touch, personal introduction for anyone that lands on your page.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Is that actually an app that exists right now?
There's a little sneaky way to do it, and if you go to my profile, you can see how it's done. But you need to download the SlideShare application. And I actually have an article on my site. It's called How to Add a Video to Your LinkedIn Profile. That's kind of step-by-step. But you add a SlideShare application, which is free. Then you need to add a YouTube link to the first slide, before the first slide of the application of your presentation. And it'll autoplay the video when people land on it. So it's pretty cool.
Interesting. That's actually a really good tip. I didn't know that you could do that. And yeah, I noticed that on your Facebook fan page, you also have that like kind of intro video. Hey, kind of telling about what you do and just kind of the quick elevator pitch. And you talk about in the book as well. You want your profile, your LinkedIn profile, to be your elevator pitch, quick, snappy, not boring. So I think that's a great tip.
The best thing you can do on your profile is tell people who you are, who you help, and how you help them. On the headline first, which is the first thing people see, then in the summary, the specialties, and kind of throughout your entire profile. But be consistent. Tell people who you are, who you help, and how you help them in the least amount of words possible, but the most compelling amount of words. And that's just going to get your message across to the right person. They don't, if they're not interested, they're going to know right away that you're not for them, and they're going to go on to someone else. So just keep it simple.
Right. Okay. And another thing you talk about on your blog is like SEO for your LinkedIn profile and kind of for the in LinkedIn search, not really for Google, but so what are some tips there on how to optimize your profile to be found easier in search?
Yeah, I mean, what if you're a marketing guy, right, David?
I am.
Okay. What if when you typed in Google, or anyone typed on Google, just marketing expert or marketing tips or marketing help, and your website and your profile was the first thing that showed up? How would that make you feel?
That would be pretty awesome, and I'd be a lot richer than I am today.
You'd be like a multimillionaire, wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
Exactly. So what if that could happen where anytime someone typed in those same things on LinkedIn, where people are going on LinkedIn to find marketing consultants, marketing experts, marketing help, marketing tips? What if you were the first thing that showed up out of 100 million searches, 100 million profiles, if you're the first one that showed up every single time? How would that make you feel?
I mean, it would be great. So how would that actually happen?
Exactly. So there's a way to do that, and basically what you need to do is add the keywords in your profile in 5 main places that you want to rank higher for. So if it's marketing consultant, let's say for you, let's just say marketing consultant, because on LinkedIn, people are looking for consultants, experts, coaches, things like that to help hire and get advice, things like that. So you'd want to do like marketing consultant or maybe even social media marketing consultant or something like that. You'd want to have those same keywords, marketing consultant, in 5 main places. One would be your headline. So this is the first thing that pops up when people do any type of like keyword research on LinkedIn. They'll go to the top right-hand corner of your profile to say people. There'll be a little search bar. Type in marketing consultant, and a bunch of names will show up. The first thing you see is the headline and the picture and the name of all these people. So the headline is the most important thing because it's the first result that pops up. You need to have marketing consultant in your headline. The second place you need to have it is in your current work experience. So what you're currently doing in business is the most relevant thing probably, as opposed to your past work experience. If you have it in the current, it's going to help you rank higher because it has more relevance. Put it in the past work experience as well. That's the third place that'll help it rank higher. So in the description and the title of your current and past work experience. Then in your summary, put marketing consultant, and in your specialties area, put marketing consultant. So by adding it in those 5 main places, it'll help you rank up, hopefully to the first page and maybe even the top 5 results.
Interesting. I didn't know there was the way to kind of game the system, but I mean that makes sense. So
probably spent 5,000 to 10,000 hours on LinkedIn testing everything. So I've kind of figured all this stuff out.
Nice, cool. So basically, for the people that have been listening into this interview, and now that are fired up to get back in there and give LinkedIn another shot,
yes.
What would you say the number one takeaway would be for those people?
You know what's really cool about LinkedIn that I love, which I feel like everyone should know this, but every time I say it, some people say they never knew this, is that what would you say is your biggest asset? Besides your personal brand and your personality and kind of you, what is your biggest asset for your business? What would you say?
Hopefully, right. I mean, your blog or I don't know.
How about your database or your...
right, your in-house list. I mean, yeah.
Database, list, your email list, your mailing list, whatever it is that you use to promote stuff, right?
Right.
Would you agree that's your biggest asset for most businesses?
Yeah, I mean that's what you own, especially if Facebook or Twitter were to go away. So you own that, so that is a huge asset. Yeah.
Okay, so on LinkedIn is the only social networking site, the only major social networking site where you can click one button and export all of your contacts, first name, last name, and email address. Facebook, you can't do that. Twitter, you can't do that. YouTube, MySpace, you can't do that. But on LinkedIn, it allows you to do that. And so I've got over 10,000 connections on LinkedIn, and I can click one button, export it to a CSV file, import that into an email marketing provider or some type of database management system, and I have access to those emails forever. It's mine. If LinkedIn sells or they shut down or whatever happens, I always have access to that list. If my Twitter account goes down or they change something, I'll never have those followers again. You can only have 5,000 friends on Facebook, and you can't even export your connections' email addresses or their contact information, not in an easy way anyways. So LinkedIn allows you to have tens of thousands of connections and export it in one simple click. So it's pretty cool.
That is a good tip. And yeah, I forget who said it, but you live or die by your mailing list.
Exactly.
Jeff Pulver or Christopher S. Penn. I don't know. One of the two. They're both smart guys. But that's an awesome tip. So Louis, where can people find you online?
Best place to go is louishowes.com. I've got, you can connect with me everywhere online. I've got all my information on there on where to connect with me. And that's the best place right now, louishowes.com.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I'm gonna find you there, and I'm gonna connect with you on LinkedIn. How about that?
Sounds great, man. I'm excited about it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show, and we hope to get you back sometime, talk about some more LinkedIn strategy stuff. So.
That's great, Dave. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks.